My name is Yock Song, and I'm the head of partnerships at Tribe Tours. So, Tribe Tours, we're a little unique. We focus a lot on in-depth experiences about Singapore. So, think of us as a storyteller of Singapore, but in a more unique way. So, for example, we do gamification tours, such as the Chinatown murders, as well as we go in depth to look at issues of the day, such as accessibility, right? What makes Singapore an inclusive society? Things like that is something which is within Tribe's DNA and forte as well.
The theme of this year's WiT Travel Changemakers Awards was Build Back Better. And I wanted to ask you, what does it mean to you to build back better?
Actually, I thought it's a tough one, It's like, what does build back better mean? And I've been pondering, right? I would then define it as a constant need to improve on what we have done previously, where it's kind of like a Lego block, right? It's like you have a base block and you build a certain structure out of it. But when you come back to look at it, okay, maybe I need to take out some parts, or maybe I like to extend it such that it becomes better. The structure, the function becomes stronger in the process. So I think in 2024, I would say there's three main focus that we'd like to focus on. The first one is really how can we actually make tours more exciting and encourage actually visitors that's coming into Singapore to actually take on tours with us. So one of the things that we're going to launch is what we call as a guided tour pass. And the whole idea is to encourage visitors to pre-commit to at least 2 or even more tours with us before their travel. And the whole idea is that we want them to actually go deeper beyond attractions, beyond your key sites, to do a more guided and curated experience such that they learn about the more multifaceted aspects, right? From the nature, from heritage, community, and the people. So the second focus for us will be trying to create more accessible tour products for persons with disability. This actually rides on our success of last year in 2023, where we became the first tour operator in Singapore to hire persons with disability. We train them, we actually deploy them at one of our tour sites at the Enabling Village in Singapore. So we're hoping to actually replicate a similar model. Currently, we're working with Sentosa in Singapore to look at how we can actually create more accessible routes, trying to curate an itinerary that's particularly suitable for, I would say, wheelchair users, and eventually roll it out to the other forms of disability within the community. So that's our second focus. And third focus is really about, doing automation for more operation efficiency. I think at the end of the day, as a small outfit with limited manpower, it's about how can we actually deploy our manpower more efficiently, right? So when we look at automation, we're trying to look at really in terms of bookings that's coming in, how can we automate the process such that guides are being allocated? So really freeing up the manpower to do more meaningful stuff, which is about customer engagement, talking to the consumers, etc., and developing more cool products out there.
So let's talk about opportunities first, like how you're tackling them and how you're sort of looking to capitalize on these opportunities that you see that are coming up.
First opportunity, I think everyone has been talking about is how travelers these days, especially your Gen Zs, they are looking at more unique experiences, right? And which is why it's also one of our focus to say that how can we, when we get you into Singapore, to go beyond attractions, to deep dive people and go on the guided tour with us. We know that cost is always a consideration, which is why when we're thinking of the concept of a guided tour pass, it's about how can we keep costs low? How can we make sure that we are able to commit and to run the tours, even if it's just 2 of you, for example. The second area, probably the second opportunity, is really about inclusive travel. People always talk about sustainability for the last few years. I think it's time for a change of flavor as well. In fact, I look at inclusive travel as a form of sustainability as well. It's about community sustainability, right? So it's kind of aligned with it. But the question is that how can we actually present Singapore as an inclusive destination? I think we have done a great job in terms of this presenting us as a green city in terms of the sustainability aspect. I think we're telling that story well. but there's this great opportunity out there where we have people of all spectrum of disability coming into Singapore, and they are just randomly reaching out to tour operators. So I think that there is a great opportunity then.
And what about challenges? So the other end of that same spectrum would be opportunities. So there's also challenges. What challenges do you foresee, and then how are you tackling those issues?
I actually find that challenges has always been the same every year. It's always about how can we let more people be aware of what we're doing. It's a matter of marketing. When you talk about marketing, it's a question of like, because we're looking at tours and experiences, we are really different from how attraction is able to kind of, you do a TikTok video, you talk about the thrills and things that, you kind of capture all those things on the guest faces, right? As they go through like a ride and things like that. But when it comes to tours and experiences, right, just very difficult. It's a perennial question that we have always been talking to like videographers, photographers, those in the creative field, to how do you capture happiness, right? And how do you capture happiness that's relevant to the tour that they are experiencing? Because it's like, let's say a 2 hours tours, and then you get people experiencing certain things, right? That happy moment when they capture it, how do you know that it's part of a tour and not some random places? So from a marketing and communication perspective, I think that's the hardest. How do you actually do marketing, and how do you actually get people aware of the kind of content that we're doing?
What do you think about working with new tech or cutting edge tech, and how that plays into the evolution of Tribe? And let's also talk about AI, because AI has advanced so much. Are you working with AI, or what new tech are you working with, and how are you implementing that in the company?
Coming from a tour experience perspective, I think that's one job that can never be taken away by AI. Because at the end of the day, people want communication, right? You're not going to come on a travel to go on a tour of, say, any area in Singapore, and have a robot talk to you, or an AI to answer all your questions about it. But I think at the root of it, AI is here to supplement what we do. And in fact, as a tour operator, I would say that a lot of my website content, whenever I do a refresh of it, I'm using AI to help to generate the text. A lot of tour operators or small operators in Southeast Asia, right? The common challenge to deal with is that they have to deal with a lot of online travel agents or a lot of other B2B partners, things like that. And the common challenge again is that any reservation system out there, if they tell you that they can API link to everyone out there, that's rubbish. It doesn't work that way. The reality is that KKD and Klook doesn't really work together. All your other operators out there, it's the same situation, right? Previously, we had to manually extract out all this data. Consumer information, the details and everything, put it into our own Excel sheet, put in the dates of that tour. Everything is done manually. So with automation, right, it essentially scripts the confirmation email that comes in. Automatically, it will be output into a system itself. And the best part is that, let's say I have a tour, hypothetically, tomorrow that's running at 10 a.m. in the morning. I've got a booking that comes in late at night at 6 p.m., right? So in the past, we have to manually scramble, open up the laptop, okay, inform the guy, you have to send an admin reminder to tell the guest this is the meeting point, etc. With automation, when that booking came in, it's captured in less than 30 seconds, everything is done.
What does winning the WiT Travel Changemakers Award mean for the company?
I would say it's very much it's an endorsement really on the efforts that the company has put in, the guys have actually put in, right? I like to use the analogy that we are like directors and actors on a stage play. Everyone uses the same stage, right? When you talk about Chinatown, actually everyone uses the same background, the same stage. But it's how do you actually inject the kind of story, the emotions, or the gameplay or format to make it interesting. It's again a form of endorsement for the guides, because the guides themselves, when they took on such a role, right? It's like they're no longer just your usual guide, which tells you a history, right? They are now playing multiple roles, from a storyteller, facilitators. I think more important is to reflect how the industry can actually accommodate people of different talents, that we're trying to showcase that there's a different side to a guide. They're not just a history teller. They're not just someone who brings you from point A to point B. They can do even more than that. They can be your friend, your companion on this journey. So I think winning that award also helps to actually bring out such a point as well.